So you're considering Bethesda, Maryland for your next home, but you're not quite sure where it is. What are the neighborhoods like? Is it convenient to the rest of Washington? What would my commute be? Well, we're going to get into all that and more as we do a map tour of Bethesda, Maryland. This channel is about living, working, playing in Washington, D.C., the good, the bad, and everything in between. I'm Brad. I'm a local real estate agent serving D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. I've lived in all three, so I love helping clients find the right city and neighborhood for them. I get calls, texts, emails every day from people just like you looking to make the move to the Washington, D.C. area. In the description below is all my contact information, so reach out in whatever way is most convenient to you. Text, email, call, or set up a Zoom, which is a great way to get a lot of questions answered. And it doesn't matter if you're 6 days or 60 days out, I want to help you make a smooth landing here to Washington, D.C. I want to start with giving you a high-level overview of where Bethesda is, where it fits into the rest of the Washington, D.C. area. And then we're going to dive in a little bit further into the main areas of Bethesda and then get into some of the neighborhoods. So let's get started. Okay, so what we're looking at here is what we call here locally the DMV area. So Bethesda is actually located right here. You may be able to make out that the red line bordering Bethesda. It's just to the northwest of Washington, D.C. So Washington is here. We call it the diamond. So Washington, D.C. is here. Bethesda is just to the north of that. This is all Maryland up here. So up to the north and to the east here is Maryland. Maryland and Virginia are separated by the Potomac River here, and then the Potomac comes down and separates Washington from Virginia. So this is all of northern Virginia here to the southwest, pardon my writing, Maryland to the north, Washington, D.C. So as you can see, Bethesda here is very conveniently located. Just to the northwest of Washington. In fact, driving distance from the center of Bethesda to the center of DC is 20 to 30 minutes. It really just depends on whether it's rush hour or not. Bethesda is part of Montgomery County in Maryland. It's the most populous county in Maryland. The population in Bethesda is about 66,000. Bethesda, once again, here in the middle. Chevy Chase is just down here to the east. To the north of Bethesda, we have North Bethesda. North Bethesda is an interesting area. Most of it's technically in Rockville, but it's kind of been branded North Bethesda. It's unincorporated, but for several decades now, they have called the area just north of Bethesda, though it's technically in Rockville. So further to the north here is Rockville in this area. And then to the west is Potomac. Once again, we're still in Maryland, so Potomac over here to the west. And then once again down here, DC down to the south. So how accessible is Bethesda to regional cities? Well, Baltimore is approximately 30 to 40 minutes away. Philadelphia is a little less than 3 hours, and New York City is about 4 hours. So is Bethesda close to major airports? Well, all three major airports here are about 30 to 45, maybe 50 minutes on a heavily rush hour day from Reagan National Airport just in Arlington. Reagan is a national airport, but it is known to be really easy to quickly to get in and out for flights. Baltimore, Washington is to the north. It's an international airport. Usually BWI has a little bit cheaper fares going out of Baltimore, Washington. And then Dulles Airport, which is over in Dulles, Virginia, past Reston, Virginia, is an international airport. It's one of the busiest airports on the East Coast. They tend to have more flights that go, and Dulles is an international airport. So can you easily access the rest of the Washington area? Well, let's take a look. So the major roads running through Bethesda are, let's start here on the east side. This is Wisconsin Avenue, or 355. So Wisconsin Avenue starts down here just below the end of the map in Georgetown, runs up through DC, through Bethesda, and then continues further north, northern Bethesda, on up to Rockville, and then Gaithersburg. You also have Bradley Boulevard, which is another route which runs from the southeast up here to the northwest. You have River Road, which makes its way from DC, once again the southeast, up through and past our Beltway 495. And then that leads us to our Beltway, which circles the entire Washington area, is 495, and it comes along the north side of Bethesda. So you can access the entire, if we're going out east, the eastern part of Maryland, and then it loops back around and down below DC and comes here in Northern Virginia through Tyson's, and then circles back here across the Potomac River into Maryland. So in general, some great roads here. Another one worth mentioning is I-270. So Interstate 270 runs uphill, up north towards Rockville and all the way up to Gaithersburg, Maryland. It is important of note because there are a lot of, they call this the I-270 Tech Corridor, all the way up to Gaithersburg. There's a lot of technology companies there. It's known as one of the top life sciences clusters in the country. So a lot of people will commute north. A lot of people love living in Bethesda and having that kind of suburban feel, and then also commuting into Washington. So where you're going to find most of the congested areas, you'll find often that as this 270 area, as it merges here with 495, you're going to find this area congested. As if you're commuting back into Northern Virginia, as it crosses the American Legion Bridge, it goes over the Potomac. This area here can get quite congested now. They're currently working on and widening the American Legion Bridge here as it goes into Maryland, so that should ease once that project is done. It's just something you want to consider if you're considering Bethesda and you're commuting back in here into Northern Virginia. As we said earlier, Bethesda is very popular with people who live and want to commute into the city. After COVID, about 25% of the office workers have not come back into the city. The city of DC is trying to revive that. But so the traffic has eased a little bit. It's still pretty bad in this area, don't get me wrong. But at least there are 25% less cars on the road. It depends on where you're coming from Bethesda and you're going into DC, but roughly 20 to 30, maybe 35 minutes on the worst days to getting into the DC area. Most of the office area in DC is going to be in the southern part of DC. Anyway, it just depends on where exactly you're working, but down here on K Street is where it tends to be most of the office in DC. Also, Washington has a great public transportation system. It's the Washington Metro system, which consists of light rail and buses. In Bethesda and the surrounding areas, there's 4 areas if you count northern Bethesda. So there's 4 metro stations that run through Bethesda. You can go further north up into Maryland. You can easily go south into Washington, D.C. It's the red line of our metro system. But that will give riders access to over 98 other stations throughout the entire Washington area. So if it's Northern Virginia, if it's the rest of Montgomery County or the rest of Maryland or into DC or further south into Alexandria and into Arlington. So if you head east of Bethesda, Annapolis is only about 45 minutes away. It is on the eastern shore of Maryland. It's known for its crabs. The Naval Academy, a lot of sailing goes on, very beautiful place. The most popular beach closest to Bethesda is going to be Rehoboth Beach in that area in Delaware. That's about 2.5 miles away. If you want to head west and go to the mountains, out to the Blue Ridge, Skyline Drive, that's about 1.5 hours away. So you can see Bethesda's pretty convenient to a lot of areas. So let me quickly go over some of the urban areas of Bethesda, and then we're going to jump into the good stuff, the neighborhoods. So once again, this is the Maryland DC line. If we come up Wisconsin Avenue, that's going to take us into downtown area. There are several many large companies that are based out of Bethesda and then located in Bethesda. You have Lockheed Martin, you have Marriott International's headquarters are there, you have General Dynamics, you have Booz Allen Hamilton, Clark Construction. They're one of the largest construction companies in this area. And if we zoom in here just a little bit on the downtown area, one of the most charming parts of downtown is the Bethesda Row area. So it's kind of the main retail, shopping, dining. There's many local retailers there, some national retailers. Many of the great restaurants are in Bethesda Row. There's a movie theater there. It's really kind of a charming, modern downtown. I think they technically call it a mall, but it's not indoor, it's outdoor. It looks like a modern town center kind of area of a downtown. Then as we travel a little further north Wisconsin, as Old Georgetown Road splits with Bethesda, you have this neighborhood in here called the Woodmont Triangle. Woodmont Triangle is a very charming neighborhood. There's some nice locally owned restaurants there, several shops, you'll find more of the kind of locally owned boutique shops there. And then surrounding it, there are some condos and single family homes, especially as we get into like Edgemoor and some of the neighborhoods right around Woodmont Triangle. Condos, 1 to 3 bedrooms, and those can range anywhere from $500,000 to $1.3 million. And then single family homes, because it's the more urban and walkable area, single family homes are going to range from 1 to 3 million in Woodmont Triangle area. So I want to go over some of the major neighborhoods in Bethesda. There's certainly not all of them. There are many neighborhoods in Bethesda, but these are the general areas, and you can get a feel for where they are in Bethesda and where you might like to be, depending on whether you want to be closer to downtown or closer to the north side and access the Beltway and go further north into Maryland and so forth. One thing that's common among most all these neighborhoods, and that is Bethesda is really known as being a beautiful suburb, but yet very close to the urban area of DC. So it's very popular that you want to have that suburban life and the nice, the yard and the nice neighborhoods, but be very accessible to urban amenities and culture, and even the urban areas of Bethesda. Also, most of the neighborhoods in Bethesda have a really good community spirit. It's kind of hard to convey in a video, but many of them have community associations, and many of the neighborhoods you'll hear described as having a very strong community. So let's dive in and take a look at them. Let's start with Wingate. So Wingate is here in this area. It is part of northern Bethesda. So just so you get your bearings, downtown Bethesda is down here, and then the line going into DC is here. Wingate is about 9 minutes from downtown Bethesda, and it's about 2.5 miles from a metro station. It's very accessible to 495 our Beltway. So if you need to get over and get down into Northern Virginia, or you need to get up further into Northern Maryland, or you need to get out east into Eastern Maryland, it's a beautiful neighborhood. About 29 minutes to downtown Washington. It consists mostly of 3 to 6 bedroom single family homes. They were originally built in the 1940s and 50s, but you'll see a lot of them that have been expanded and updated. You will also see many newer homes, so there have been some teardowns and some newer homes. Typically, the prices will range anywhere from $850,000 to $2 million. And the nearest elementary school is Wingate Elementary, and greatschools.org ranks them a 9 out of 10. So next up is Woodhaven. Woodhaven is primarily single-family homes in the 3 to 6 bedrooms. It's located in central Bethesda. It's about 8 minutes to downtown Bethesda, and about 25 minutes from downtown DC. It's very near the Holton Arms and Landon private schools. You'll hear a lot of people talk about those fairly prestigious private schools and some of the better known schools in the areas. If you watch my pros and cons of the Bethesda video, I'll go into those a little bit more. Woodhaven is primarily known for wooded lots. It has a combination of older and newer homes, like a lot of the neighborhoods do in Bethesda. Traditionally you'll find 1/4 acre to 1/2 acre lots, and 3 to 6 bedrooms for the most part are going to be in the low 1 millions range. Okay, let's move over to Bannockburn. So the neighborhood with a little funny name, but very much loved, is in the western part of Bethesda. It was originally built in the 40s and 50s, but you're going to find, like many other neighborhoods around it, that a lot of the homes have been expanded. They've been updated. You'll also find quite a few homes that have been built in the last 20 years. Typically, you'll see a 1/5 acre to a 1/3 acre in Bannockburn. It is about 10 minutes from downtown Bethesda and about 20 minutes from downtown Washington. One thing that always comes to mind when I think of Bannockburn is a sense of community. They do have a community association. It's a very family-oriented neighborhood. When I was there last week, it was Christmas time, and there were so many decorations, so many of the homes that were decorated for Christmas, and the holidays. It's also right off of River Road, so you can access 495 if you need to get further west in Bethesda, or if you need to go further north up to 270 and go up to Rockville and Gaithersburg, or if you need to come south and go into Northern Virginia here. So very well-regarded neighborhood. Typically you're going to find single-family homes, 3 to 6 bedrooms, and they can range anywhere from some of the older original homes that were built at around the 50s at a price point around the 800s, all the way up to newer homes built in the last 10 or so years, much larger homes that could go for as much as $3 million. Okay, let's talk about Woodacres next. Woodacres is a small neighborhood in the western part of Bethesda. If you can't see it already, it is, I'm just kind of roughly highlighting it here. It's a neighborhood that comprises predominantly of 3 and 4 bedroom homes. Most of them don't have garages. Typically they just have a driveway. There's some exceptions. It is located about 10 minutes west of downtown area, about 18 to 25 minutes down to downtown DC. It's a very charming community. There's some rolling hills, some nice wooded lots, and once again, you'll see some homes that have been built in the 40s and 50s, and then you'll see some newer construction. And when I say newer construction, typically I'm talking in the last 15 to 20 years. Price point for 3 to 4 bedrooms, which is mostly what's in Woodacres, is anywhere from $950 to around $1.4 million. So next is Kenwood Park. Kenwood Park is known for much larger houses, anywhere from 3,000 to 7,000 square feet. It's also a very attractive neighborhood because of its proximity to downtown Bethesda and to downtown Washington, D.C. Kenwood Park is highlighted roughly here. You'll find mostly 4 to 6 bedroom single family homes. They're known for many of them being gorgeously landscaped. It's about 9 minutes to downtown Bethesda and about 18 to 23 minutes, something like that, to downtown DC. Prices range from $1 million to $3 million, and it's also served by nearby Walt Whitman High School. Broadmoor, another very popular option. It's known for its sidewalks, its sky-high trees, and its winding streets. It's here in central Bethesda, so it's about 5 minutes from downtown Bethesda. It's about 25 minutes from downtown Washington. Very popular neighborhood. In fact, a lot of people don't like to move out of the neighborhood, so it's not super often that houses come for sale there, but a good option. You're still 5 minutes away from 495, and for 3 to 5 bedrooms, which is typically what you'll find in that neighborhood, the prices can range from $850,000 to $3.5 million. Another very popular choice for people living in Bethesda is Sumner. So Sumner is located in the southwestern part of Bethesda. It's just on the Potomac River, across the river from Virginia. It's right here on the DC line, so access to DC is really easy. It's probably about 15 minutes from downtown Bethesda, but there is a little village in here in Sumner, and many of the homes there are walkable to Safeway and CVS. There's also Little Falls Stream Park here that's walkable. You'll find 2 to 3 bedroom condos in Sumner, ranging anywhere from $300,000 to the high end of $1.1 million. You'll also find 3 to 5 bedroom single family homes. Typically, most of them will have a nice size yard and with an attached garage, which is very popular. And then to get down here in DC, I mean, you're right on the DC line, so it's just really 5 minutes to get into DC. But if you want to go all the way down into downtown DC, you're probably looking 15 to 23 minutes, depending on whether that's rush hour or not. Okay, so I know we didn't see a lot of townhomes and condos in the neighborhoods that I went over today, but they do exist in Bethesda. The condos, which are going to range 1 to 3 bedrooms, predominantly lie up and down Wisconsin Avenue in the more urban areas, but there are exceptions. Expect to pay $300,000 to $900,000 for condos, just depending on the size and location. Townhomes typically are 3 to 4 bedrooms, and you can expect to pay on the low end $450K up to on the high end around $1.2 million. Okay, so that certainly wasn't all the neighborhoods in Bethesda, but hopefully it gives you a little better flavor. And if you are considering Bethesda, what area of the city you might want to be in, whether it's the northern part of the Bethesda or the central part, or it's in southern Bethesda, closer to DC, or closer to maybe downtown. You'll also want to know about the schools in Bethesda. There are a lot of great things about the schools and more about the culture in Bethesda and the access to the culture in DC. I go through that in my Bethesda pros and cons video, so make sure to check that out. Also, I'll put out new videos every week, so subscribe. If you got anything out of this, I would appreciate a like. If you have any questions, there's so much more information to know about Bethesda, then feel free to reach out or schedule a Zoom. The information is below.